influence, getting to those kind of disaster points, or sort of the general developing situation in third world countries.
See Me, Share My World is a 35-piece traveling art exhibit of children's artwork, photographs, and maps. The project studies 7 developing countries: Colombia, Honduras, Guatemala, Sierra Leone, Indonesia, India, and Thailand. Approximately 368 pieces of artwork were received from children in these countries. Through an art selection committee made up of art experts, teachers, and a third world artist, 88 pieces of artwork were chosen to be included in the exhibit. The project is designed to teach 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students to understand the conditions in the third world and to relate to similarities and differences in their own lives. This is achieved by focusing on 6 central themes.
The actual exhibit reflects the 6 major themes that the program includes. It begins with Where Do You Live?, which is a station that doesn't have any artwork at all, but just pictures of kids in different third world countries, just so children can sort of get to know them, just so they meet them, big facial pictures, pictures of the family, a map showing where the countries are, and another graphic that shows what our connections are to those countries, meaning that the very rubber in your tennis shoes probably comes from Thailand. So those kind of things to show that it's really, we are all very interconnected. The second station is Where Do You Eat? And that begins to combine both the photographs as well as the artwork and graphics. So sort of pictures of some of the staple foods. We hear that people in Africa eat a lot of millet, but what does millet look like? So to really actually have a picture there, and then to compare that to some of the drawings that the children have done that actually show them harvesting rice and looking at what rice plants look like and how do people work with them. Who Teaches You is another of the exhibits. Again, comparing, using all the different mediums. Who teaches you? How do you stay healthy? Why do you work? And looking very closely at sort of the work that children do overseas and how much of their time is actually spent in chores for the household, for the family. And finally ending with How Do You Have Fun?
During the 2-week teaching unit, students study photographs, artwork, and participate in a number of activities that bring these children and their countries to life. Through activity books and a teacher's guide, both students and teachers travel to 7 different countries, learning their location, education level, as well as their main source of income and many of the problems they face each day. The students also discover our direct link to these countries. For example, students learn how we rely on Indonesia for rubber to make sneakers, or cotton from India to make clothing, and tin from Thailand for lunchboxes. Often these items are taken for granted and not directly linked to our third world neighbors. The activity book for See Me, Share My World encourages students to stop and think about the differences between our country and the 7 developing countries. Each theme allows students to understand basic issues concerning food and shelter, illiteracy rates, medical supplies, and the future of the country itself. Students learn what language is spoken, what foods are grown and eaten, how many children have learned to read, life expectancies, what types of chores children do, and what types of festivals they have and their significance to their culture. Discussions like these are the cornerstone of what See Me, Share My World is designed to convey.
I think when we were initially writing the books, we worked a lot with teachers and what teachers told us would work, and we followed what they said, like the Bible. But to actually see how the kids have taken on activities and what kind of knowledge, what things they latch on to and what things they don't, what things they come away with, I'm always very impressed. And I think we really underestimate how much they can understand of real global issues. I remember going into a classroom in Norwood Avenue in Cranston and trying to ask just a few questions of one little girl when I first came. And I had thought that maybe, where I had put her and what she had learned from the program was far below what she had actually learned. And it was her sort of turning to me and saying, well, didn't you see page 16? Can't you see the GNPs listed there? Sierra Leone, people only get this much. And look at how much people in America get. And what's more, the girls don't get educated well. And she was just sort of reiterating all this to me. And I was just really had to take a step back and think, wow, this kid has really picked up all that, that we had in the lesson. And these are the very same statistics that I think people call dry and boring. And yet put with the artwork, put with the photographs, put with the activities, these kids are interested, and it has generated a lot of excitement in the classrooms.
How does the Kids' Bill of Rights fit into the program of See Me, Share My World?
The See Me, Share My World activity books and activities in the classroom have included what we call a Kids' Bill of Rights, and that is to parallel actually what's happening internationally at the UN. And they're presently in the process of ratifying a convention that would protect children's rights all over the world. Their right to survival, their right to protection from abuse, and their right for healthy development. And what we're finding is these kids in Rhode Island classrooms are right on target with the rights that they are developing for their peers. I think they're friends now overseas. They range from the right to be healthy, the right to have medical care, to the right to be loved, the right to speak your own opinion. The things that these kids are coming out with are really wonderful, and I think they show an incredible empathy for the children that they've learned about overseas, are really moving beyond what they have and wanting everybody to have that.
The 1989-1990 school year has been an experimental time for the exhibit. During that time, See Me, Share My World has been piloted in 20 schools throughout Rhode Island. It is the first of its kind in the country. Approximately 2,000 children in Rhode Island have been exposed to the exhibit. 3 schools in Cranston, the Arlington School, Norwood Avenue School, and the Stadium School were involved in the project. And in Scituate, the Clayville School has been an active participant in See Me, Share My World. See Me, Share My World has opened up a whole new world to the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students at the Clayville School in Scituate. Before the project was introduced, only a handful of students knew where the third world countries were located. And now students can point to them on a map and talk about some of their customs. It's a process that only over 2 short weeks has brought a real sense of caring for children they'd never met or countries they may never travel to.
And they don't really have a choice. They don't really have a choice. Like what? They just have to stay in family affairs.
They have dreams of what they want to do, but sometimes they can't even always fulfill their dreams.
And like the things they have to do, they don't get any chance to say anything. You know, like they have to do what other people say, and they don't really get a chance to say what they want to feel or do what they want to do. So
How about their education?
Their education, our education is very good all across the United States, and their education, just like they should have equal education, because like one person goes to school in the family, then they come home and tell everyone, and that's good, but I think everyone should have a chance to get educated.
What are some of the things that they have to do when they get home?
They have to go home, and everyone like sits down, and they have to become the teacher, and they have to teach what they learned in school.
Who are they teaching?
Their family, mostly their relatives and their family.
Like they have to do chores, like even when they get home and stuff. It's like they never stop working.
It's like
Sometimes they don't even own the field they work in. They just do it for other people for a real small pay, and they don't get much of the harvest.
Mm-hmm. It's just that they have to go to school like, for a couple of days, and then they have to stay home because to do all the work, and then they go to school again, and then keep on working.
In the 5th grade level, we primarily focus on the United States, and adding See Me, Share My World has expanded the kids' awareness of the world just in geographical terms, because we've had to look at all parts of the world. We do map skills, but we haven't done the in-depth study of the countries as we did in See Me, Share My World. I think they feel pretty proud that they can, with some knowledge now, and some real good knowledge, pinpoint where the countries are, and then tell you about some of the people who live there.
Well, I think it's enhanced naturally the geographic aspect of our social studies curriculum. It made the children much more aware of the world map, of where many of the countries where we studied, not only the 6 See Me, Share My World countries, but each child also took their own country and studied it in depth. So they were made more aware of the globe, the world, their world around them. But I think it also enhanced their understanding of economics. I think it's really exciting to listen to 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students discuss gross national product and recognize that 80% of the population of the world only has 20% of the wealth of the world.
The students at Clayville School also learned about special customs, and in particular a festival in Thailand called Loy Krathong, where children make krathongs and float them down the river to give thanks for the precious resource of water, which has helped the crops to grow.
The holiday that it's like a celebration. Loy Krathong is the day that they do this on, which is to give thanks for water in the middle of the rainy season.
Loy means to float, and to float the krathongs. We use tinfoil, rubber cement, and a candle, and a tinfoil cup. They would probably use a candle or a penny, banana leaves, and they put it in a sort of cup, and they have this thing that they stick it in with. I forget the name of it, and then that they use for it.
A group of sixth graders discovered the role of masks in Africa and how each type of mask is used in the village.
Basically, we're making replicas of the masks that they wore in Africa. And they were basically used for religious rituals and ceremonies. A lot of the time, they wore them when they were hunting, and they'd put them on their backs and they'd scare away any things that they weren't hunting. So it would be easier. They wouldn't attack them or anything. They made them from all the natural things they had around them. They'd use clay as a base, and then they'd for dyes, they use like berries and stuff. Natural dyes. Vegetable dyes.
And they use sap to stick all the stuff on.
If the clay dried early. And any like nuts, berries, beans, soybeans, dried beans, or seeds. All stuff like that they'd use for the mask. They'd even use sticks, and since it was near the ocean, they'd sometimes use seashells if they were really close. And like hay and straw and stuff they'd also use for like hair.
How long would it take them to make one mask?
I'm not really sure, but it would probably take them a long time. They were really complex, and they usually wouldn't be just covering the face, but they'd come down to about their shoulders. Yeah, and they'd have long hair made out of like maybe rawhide strips from animals. Sometimes they used human hair. Yeah, and they take a long time because they wanted to get everything just perfect, so it would look really nice. The one I'm making would probably be for a dance because it looks kind of happy. Same with mine. Mine would probably be in between. I'm not sure. It'd probably be like a happy and scary face because the eyes are like darkened and the mouth isn't exactly smiling. So different.
How about yours?
Well, looks like it's supposed to be scary. It would be to scare something away or hunting.
Okay, boys and girls, this is a picture of how some of our friends in the countries we've been studying have fun. What do you see happening here? That's right.
They're having a boxing match.
Oh, boxing match. Thank you.
Many third world countries set aside time to enjoy games and festivals. Clayville students study the importance of these festivals and how children like themselves play games. Many of the games are made out of simple things such as berries, twigs, or stones, things that were found easily around them. Clayville students created several games that might be played by children in a third world country.
What we made was you gotta put the piece of this and then a piece of wood. You get as many pieces as you want. Then you get a pot and then you keep stacking it up like that, and you try, and the one who knocks it down has to put it all the way up to where it fell down, and then the other person put the piece. And the nails right there I put in so it'll be more complicated.
And you lost. Gonna start again?
What I did was I took two sticks, one in the shape of a Y and a straight one, and you have to put the straight one like this and try to balance it.
Now, is that simple enough game? Do you think it's fun, Brooke? Why is it fun?
Oh, because you don't know if it's going to fall or stay up.
Okay. Angela, want to tell us about your game?
Okay. You can have 2 or 3 people playing, and you got to try and roll the rocks up to get it in the hole. And if you get it in the hole, you get 5 points. If you get it anywhere around here, you get 3 points.
Through these activities, the students at Clayville have gained a better understanding of children just like them in the Third World. Their similarities and differences are important lessons for everyone.
What did you know about Africa before See Me Share My World?
Hardly anything. Before I just thought it was a continent that's just no people or anything, and they're all just.
I thought it was like jungles everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I didn't know much about it at all. I mean, after seeing Me Share My World, it really gave us like a better idea of what it's like to live there and stuff. And that's really like where most of all the poverty and stuff is, and where there's lack of all different stuff. Because before I thought there was like lots of different kinds of animals, but there is, but it's a lot different when you really get down to it. We learned so much about the individual countries in the continent, and I just thought of it as just like all kind of blended in one. Like, well, I knew there was different countries, but I thought they were all basically the same, but they're not really. Yeah, they're all different.
One lesson I think they learned is that they're very privileged children, that there are people in the world that are not as fortunate as they are.
Well, I think they need to understand that they are the privileged few, that everybody doesn't go home and watch Nintendo, that other children have a much different life. But on the other hand, it was still exciting to find out that we are very much the same. We still have our basic needs. We need to play. We need to have games. We need our family structure. These things are very important to us. And what we take for granted, other children don't have, but they need them as much as we do.
I hope the children here have learned from this project that children throughout the world are basically the same. Their problems may be different. Their conditions may be different. But the children are the same. And in this way, we hope that when they become adults, they can deal with other people of the world as just that, as other people, rather than as foreigners. They can deal with other people of the world as people.
Global understanding and empathy for others around us has been a central theme in See Me Share My World. If you take away the activities, the role-playing, the games, and the discussions, the artwork itself speaks to you, and the message is loud and clear. Why did you choose the medium of art?
We chose the medium of art in this project because it crosses sort of all barriers of communication that different languages present, as well as different cultures. It's something universal. It's something that you will find in the artwork from the children in the third world, similarities, things that are very similar, as if a child here could have done the same thing. And you'll find also things that are very intriguing. What's that? What's that in that picture? What are they doing? So I think at the same time it's a way of seeing our similarities. It's also a way of sort of exploring what our differences are.
They love looking at other children's art. They love to do art. They enjoy sharing the art that they themselves do in the classroom. But now we're taking art work that's coming from another country, from another part of the world, that is explaining a way of life. These children are drawing their pictures about their school and about their medical facilities and about their home. And the detail is just so wonderful. These pictures were absolutely marvelous.
The old saying, of course, is that one picture's worth 1,000 words. No matter how many times we describe the conditions in another place, we can't describe it as exactly as that picture can. And again, the picture is drawn from a child's point of view, and a child relates to the child's point of view much more closely than to an adult's point of view.
Since 1937, Plan International USA has been helping children and their families in developing countries to lead a better life. See Me Share My World is contributing to achieving this mission.
How does the program See Me Share My World fit into the overall mission of Plan International USA?
Plan International USA works in 26 countries overseas, and that's the main work that we do is in developing countries. What we do in this country, and it's also in our bylaws, is to educate our own sponsors that sponsor children overseas, as well as the general public, about the third world and the conditions that the people there are living under. I think that this project does that really using the unique resources that we have. I mean, we have the ability to go into a neighborhood in Tuluá, Colombia, and get children to help us out by drawing pictures of their life. So I think in that sense, the more people understand about the third world, the better off we all are. And that enhances our own institutional goals of turning and then helping those children overseas to improve their own lives.
What do you hope the students learn from this program?
It's difficult to say what I hope for the students, what they'll learn in this project. And I think it even starts a step before that, because I think that all the people who have been involved in this project have real hopes for the children who have drawn the art, and what will they be able to communicate their message. I mean, that was really the initial, before we even went into Rhode Island classrooms. Are people here going to understand what these kids are, what their life is like, what they're trying to say to us? And I think that hope's been fulfilled. I think they have. I think in terms of children here, and what I'd really love for them to come away from is the same kind of enthusiasm and involvement in learning about the third world and learning about the people in the third world and the situations they live in, as they show in the Kids' Bill of Rights, as they show when they're discussing a piece of artwork, as they show when they're talking about what they've learned, but to maintain that kind of connection so that later when they get into high school, if they get into college, if they hear on the news a flash about Thailand or this or that, I want them to remember that picture that they saw, that the child drew from Thailand, and for that always to be part of their perception of Thailand, to have that sort of personal dimension, that personal connection, and that real sort of human perspective of the broader issues as they come to face them.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Cox Cable Magazine. The See Me Share My World program is currently available to all schools in Rhode Island and throughout the country. If you would like See Me Share My World to be a part of your school, please contact Plan International USA at 738-5600. We would like to thank all the students and teachers at Clayville Elementary School in Scituate for making this program possible. As always, if you have a story idea for us at Cox Cable Magazine, please write or call us at 943-6705. Thank you for watching. I'm Pat Bordelot.